So two of Hollywood's finest, Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, brilliantly co-star together in Apple TV's spirited film. And yes, certain things definitely could have been a lot stronger, but for the most part, you are going to have an absolute blast with this film. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video, we are going to be reviewing Spirited, which is Apple TV Plus's Christmas musical comedy movie starring both Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, and it's yet again another remake of the classic Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol story. However, this interpretation is just so good. It packs in so much storyline material, so many incredible musical numbers. It's really surprising that it packs in both of those, as they quite literally do have such a wicked storyline that just gets more and more and more layered, as well as pretty much having a musical number every 10 minutes. And these two lead actors just do such a good job. It is just such a phenomenal movie as we just engage with their incredible performances, and everything around them just really does allow them to light up and bright up the screen so phenomenally, and I just cannot wait to break it down with you in this movie review. So a group of afterlife spirits identify their next target as Clint Briggs to redeem, as he is a bit of an irredeemable character, as he is a media consultant that has built up a reputation of succeeding through dark controversy. And the Ghost of Christmas Present in particular makes it his absolute mission to redeem this character, who seems from the outside as being really irredeemable, and you then get to see all of the disastrous, all of the moving and really hilarious consequences that then take place. Now, from a positive point of view, I feel like this movie has some really interesting concepts. For example, the ripple effect. So if you improve one person's life, they will then have a ripple effect on a lot of other people, which would be like a positive domino effect, which I think was really, really intriguing. And also the irredeemable characters whose society and everybody in the afterlife as well kind of mark as a bit of a lost cause and really forget about them. Whereas there is always somebody that really does need to root for this person to really improve them. And the whole afterlife setup is really intriguing and really innovative as well. And all of the musical numbers in this movie are just so brilliant. But like Apple TV have got a really good reputation of not sparing any expenses, as is just such a cinematic delight on screen as well as the musical numbers. Like I said, firstly, there's loads of them. And secondly, they all just look really, really cool. It does feel like a brilliant musical Broadway show that you're watching. And of course, everybody knows the classic tale of A Christmas Carol, so it feels really, really familiar. But I feel like they do a lot of innovation and a lot of new spins on it to make it a brand new experience. And of course, you have veteran lead actors that just bring so much charisma to the screen. And they actually pack in a lot of storyline in this movie, and some really cool twists and turns take place as well. And as you can imagine, it's a really heartwarming storyline that really does leave you with a bit of a positive glow. And I feel like they just do that really, really well, especially in a bit of a crowded market where you have kind of seen everything happen now. And I feel like it's really good because of that. And maybe this is going to be an instant Christmas classic, and will really be at the level of Elf and Home Alone and all of those kind of movies. However, from a negative point of view, and this is me being pretty nitpicky, I would have loved to have seen a lot more of the business side and the dealings that he does from a devilish evil point of view that really does make the Clint character really irredeemable, as they just focus so much of his motivation and the plot of this movie for an act that he's doing for his goddaughter, which was fine, but I would have loved to have seen a lot more of his evil business side of things. And also, I guess they could have done a little bit more world building in terms of the afterlife space. But that being said, both of those things are sufficient enough for you to enjoy the storyline and still being able to follow everything. And on that point, that's another really great positive about this movie. It's so easy to follow, and therefore I feel like it is accessible for all ages. And like I keep saying, it's just such an enjoyable movie from a storyline perspective. So like I keep saying, the cast and characters in this film are just absolutely stupendous. So let's go through them one by one. So first we have Ryan Reynolds, who as always does such a good job, as this time playing Clint Briggs. And it does feel like a very familiar character stereotype than Ryan Reynolds is now known for example, being these lovable douchebags. And it does feel very Deadpool inspired. But that being said, like I said, Ryan Reynolds is just so good at playing these type of characters. You're really loving this character even though you want to love to hate him. And he's actually a brilliant actor from a musical comedy perspective, which we haven't seen Ryan Reynolds do that much of, but he just throws himself into it so brilliantly. You're laughing along with him, you're finding it all really, really impressive. And as always, Ryan Reynolds is just such a comedic genius. So it's a really, really funny performance. And as he is the lead character, his storyline is really, really endearing. And you're totally with him. And actually, you can see why he's become the cynical guy that he is. And the lens in which he looks at the world is actually pretty realistic. So you can in some ways relate to this guy, which I do feel like is really, really impressive. Next up, we have Will Ferrell, who I have to say is another comedic genius. He's just so naturally funny and is just so good. Just even his mannerisms when he's not even trying hard to be funny, it just comes across on screen so well. And of course, we all know him as the Christmas character Elf. And there are some funny references to that movie in this film, which is really, really good. And he does a really good job in exposition and explaining everything, even though there isn't too much to explain, as you can really quickly, easily understand what's going on. But that being said, I feel like he does explain all of the new things in this movie really, really well. If you watch The Shrink Next Door, then your heart really will be with Will Ferrell. And in this film, again, he is a really likable character. And I absolutely love the twist that's involved with this guy. And actually, you do find out a lot more about his past, which was really, really intriguing. And I just have to say, these two as a double act just lead this movie so well. And you're really rooting for both of them as well. I've also got Octavia Spencer, who I have to say is easily one of Hollywood's most underrated actresses. And very similarly to Will Ferrell, she doesn't have to do much and she will have you bursting out laughing and smiling along with her, as Octavia Spencer is just so good in this movie, playing Kimberly, who is the executive assistant to Ryan Reynolds' Clint character. And like I said, she just oozes so much humor and has a really interesting subplot with Will Ferrell's Go to the Christmas Past. We've also got Clint's wider family in this movie. I don't feel like they were that great, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like they are super secondary characters. You don't find out that much about them, and they're kind of just used as a bit of an emotional anchor for Clint. But I feel like for me, it just didn't work, and I feel like it would have been so much more impactful if they had focused more on the business side of things and just used his family in a slightly better way, as they were neither too emotional or too funny. So it was just a bit of a weird balance. We've also got Patrick Page in this film playing Jacob. He is the leader of the afterlife space, and he does a really good job in terms of having extra superpowers than everybody else. And he does have a bit of a stern hand from being a boss of this space, but he is also a firm but fair boss at the same time. And there are some wicked cameos. I absolutely love that about these Hollywood A-listers, as you know they're all friends with each other, and so they help one another's projects just propel a lot more from a cameo perspective, which is really, really cool. But this definitely is Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell's movie, and they totally deserve being paid $20 million each, as they just give their all in this film. So from a visuals point of view, Spirited just looked so good. Like I said, Apple TV Plus just have such a good reputation of not sparing any expenses, which is why they've been able to attract such wicked talent and just have a really, really good reputation with their spectrum of work. So this movie just looks so visually appealing. All of the super rich lifestyle that Clint is able to have because he is so successful looks so cool. All of the afterlife space looks really, really brilliant. And all of the time traveling between the past, present, and the future just looks really, really awesome. And there are musical numbers aplenty in this movie, and every single one is just such a massive set piece. You're really with all of these characters. It just really communicates and adds to the storyline really, really nicely. I mean, certain moments you can tell that they are in front of a green screen, but they really are few and far between. And so from a visuals perspective, this movie looks absolutely brilliant. So from a comparisons perspective, there have been hundreds of adaptations of A Christmas Carol, and I would say this is probably one of the strongest ones out of all of them. And as it is a Christmas movie, gosh, there are so many other Christmas movies that you can compare this film to. The most notable ones, though, I would say are The Grinch and A Fairly Odd Christmas. And as it is a typical storyline of a character learning the errors of their ways and improving as a result of this, maybe you could also compare it to A Toy Story and also to Liar Liar. And there are so many other musical movies, for example, The Greatest Showman, Cinderella, so many other musical numbers. But I have to say, against all of these movies, Spirited is a super strong entry. So overall, I feel like Spirited is such a brilliant movie and such a great addition to Apple TV's brilliant repertoire of films and TV shows. It was such a fun ride, such a magical movie, and it was just led so fantastically by Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. I mean, sure, there were certain moments that they definitely could have improved and could have pushed certain aspects as well, but it was just such a fun ride, and it's just such an enjoyable movie from start to finish. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a super solid 7 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of Spirited, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.